Hi and welcome back for another Not Too Shabby Shop Design Team project. Today I'm bringing you the June stamp and die of the month. It is called Critter Pops. This sweet stamp set has 3 different popsicles to get your summer creative juices flowing. Here's a look at that stamp and die. The stamp and die is available now in the Not Too Shabby shop. The stamp only has sold out. Here's a look at a lawn fawn stencil. This is a layering stencil. I'll have it linked in the description box below. I'm using my Stampin' Up! Inks. I have a red, and then once I get this red on, I will layer up my second layer of star stencils, and I will add the blue to it. I'm going for a patriotic look as we are moving into the summer months. There is a card challenge that I'm going to enter this into, and the colors of course were red, white, and blue. So I thought that these little critters have these stars on them, and I thought it was perfect for this color combination. Once I get this down, I will start inking up my stamps. I have all 3 of the popsicles in my MISTI along with a piece of Copic Express It paper. I do like to use this paper because it does take the Copic inks and blends quite nicely. I'm using some Memento gray ink to stamp out my images. That ink is Copic friendly. I went with a lighter color instead of black because I really wanted to add a little bit of softness and try to hide some of those lines while I was doing my Copic coloring. There will be a hop for the stamp and die of the month, so there'll be more inspiration available on the 7th and a chance to win a $25 gift card to the Not Too Shabby shop. So I hope you'll join us back here on the 7th to find more inspiration for this adorable set. I'll begin my Copic coloring with a red combination. I'm starting with an R89, which is a burgundy red color, and then I'm going to blend it out with an R29. When I finish with that R29, I'll blend out with an R27, and then I'll finish off as my highlight with an R24. I like to go over my images a couple of times because I did add that darker red. I will go over it instead of adding a lot more. I'm going to just add the R29 over the top of it, blend the R27 out a little bit further, and then finish off again with my R24. Now I do end up, you're going to see me go back in. I want a little bit more depth, so I will go back in periodically, and I'm going to add just a little bit more of that shadowing where you see those drips at the top of the little popsicle. As you can see, we have a unicorn, we have a bunny, and I think that that's a teddy bear on the right. I suppose that it could be a little hamster or a little mouse maybe, but I'm calling it a little teddy bear popsicle. I thought that the illustrations of this was absolutely adorable. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this one's going to sell out really fast because, I mean, who could resist these adorable stamps? One thing that I appreciate, if I haven't mentioned it before, it's that the dies do cut out the sentiments, and there are some really cute sentiments. Some of the sentiments are a little bit smaller, so it's really nice to be able to have that die to cut it out and really assist you. I'm a terrible fussy cutter, so for me, that's always a bonus when I receive these stamps and dies. I'm going to do the opposite on all of the stars. So if I color an area in blue, and I did use my B39 and my B37 for the little drip part or the hair on my unicorn, and then I used my R89 to color in the stars. Here I'm using that same red combination, and for my star I will add the B39. So I'm just using the opposite colors on each of my stars. I'll finish off this red stripe, and then I'm going to color in one of the blue ones. For the blue stripe, I leave a white space in there, and then I go over my image twice, and then I go over the entire image covering up that white space. What that does is it allows me to use two colors without needing to add a highlight color. And so the depth from going over the image twice and leaving that space white is going to make it, when I go over that white space with my B37, that it's going to be a little bit lighter than the other areas. I hope that makes sense, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here in just a moment. I do use some C markers to create my white, because white is still going to have a little bit of shadows. The gray got a little bit away from me on the popsicle stick portion of it. I do use my colorless blender quite a bit, trying to just kind of lighten that up just a little bit, because I went in just a little bit too far with my C2 right here. You're going to see that I go in just a little bit more heavy-handed than what I intended to. One of the things that I really like to do is I have a black gel pen, and when you lose some of that impression from the ink, it really does help if you can go over it with your gel pen. So I do have a black one that I keep on hand. You're going to see how much it adds back into my image. I'll use it for the eyebrows, the eyelashes, and the eyes of the popsicle, as well as the nose and the mouth. And then I'm going to add some white highlights with a white gel pen. You've seen me do that before. It's one of my favorite ways to just add a little bit of accent to my images. I tend to draw a line and add 2 dots. I always add little freckles to the cheeks of my critters, and then I'm going to add little dots around the drip line of that popsicle, and I think that it just adds a little bit more character to the image. I do use the coordinating dies off camera to cut out all of my images. I colored up, I should say, the little bear image off camera, and that's the second one that I'm going to use. And I did use a red, white, and blue combination on that one as well to keep with the theme of my card. I've cut out a couple of clouds. I did cut them to the width of 4 inches, and I'm using those same gray markers. So I have the C2, C0, and then I will use my colorless blender just to make sure that I don't have a harsh line around the edges where I colored, just trying to blend it into that white cardstock. And then we'll start putting our card together. I have a card base that's cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. It's a red side folding card base. I'll add some glue to the back of that panel that we stenciled. As I mentioned, it's cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'll center it onto this card base. You certainly could add some foam tape to the back of the clouds. I chose not to for my card for today, but it really would add some nice dimension in addition to the dimension that you add to your popsicles. So for my popsicles, I used an extra thick foam tape that I had. I purchased it from Amazon, and it's a lot thicker, I should say, than some of the other foam tape that I have. I really wanted to get a nice pop on my popsicles. I also used the R29 to color up a piece of scrap cardstock. I used my paper trimmer to cut a banner, and then I added the fishtail with my scissors. And I cut out my sentiment 3 times and stamped the words Happy Summer so that I have nice chipboard dimension to that sentiment. I will use my white gel pen, keeping with the cohesiveness of my card, adding a little bit of detail to the banner. When I remove the release paper from the back of my little popsicles, I'm going to be sure not to press them down, because I want to make sure that I can pick them up and position them the way that I want to. And once I get these positioned properly, that will complete my card for today. So I hope you come back on the 7th to join us for the hop for this stamp and die of the month. As I mentioned, they are available now in the Not Too Shabby shop. I hope you enjoyed this video. if you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know what you think of these critter pops, and until next time, have a fabulous day. Thanks for watching.